After that extraordinary experience at the sanctuary, Marta's life took a completely unexpected turn. Every morning, as soon as she woke up, she remembered that mysterious warmth and that feeling of rebirth that had pervaded her that fateful day. Her home, which before had been immersed in a gray routine of struggle and pain, was transformed into a small temple of gratitude. The walls were enriched with photographs, lit candles and small improvised altars where she placed flowers, which for her represented a tangible link with that miracle. Those around her, friends and relatives, could not help but notice the radical change. Those who once saw her tired and discouraged, now admired a woman who had rediscovered the will to live. Marta began to participate in prayer meetings, support groups where others told similar stories, and often found herself smiling with contagious serenity. She spoke of the warmth that had caressed her leg, as if a higher force wanted to remind her that, despite everything, she was not alone. The sanctuary of Padre Pio, for its part, continued to act as a backdrop to this transformation. The ancient stones, silent witnesses of countless prayers, seemed to radiate with a new light when Marta set foot there. There, in that place full of history and faith, every corner told a different story: the respectful silence of the other pilgrims, the echo of footsteps in the corridors, the rustling of leaves on the centuries-old trees that surrounded the complex. The cell, where Marta had experienced the miracle, became for her the symbol of an interior rebirth, a place where the boundary between the visible and the invisible became blurred. But it wasn't just physical sensations that transformed Marta. That visit to Padre Pio had opened a door to her inner world, a journey of self-discovery that led her to reconsider every aspect of her existence. She began keeping a diary, sincerely writing down the emotions and reflections that crossed her mind. Each line was a step toward greater self-awareness, a way to understand how faith could illuminate even the darkest corners of the soul. The diary soon became a faithful companion, a silent witness to a journey that had led her to discover the beauty of small things: the singing of birds, the scent of fresh morning air, the soft light of sunset. Chance encounters with other pilgrims further enriched her journey. One day, during an evening visit, Marta met the gaze of an elderly gentleman who, with disarming calm, told her how, many years before, he too had experienced an unexpected sign in that very sanctuary. With his voice broken by emotion, he said, "Faith is like a fire that never goes out, you just have to know how to light it in the darkest moments." Those words, though simple, took root deeply in Marta, pushing her to seek an even deeper meaning in every moment she lived. Each testimony, each encounter, made her understand that the miracle had not been an isolated case, but part of an invisible fabric that united all the stories of those who had found comfort and hope in that sacred place. In parallel, Marta also approached the artistic and cultural dimension of the sanctuary. She decided to document her experience not only with words, but also with images and sounds. She began taking photographs, recording short videos and creating small montages that visually told the story of the magic that had changed her life. Her social page soon became a point of reference for those seeking inspiration. The images of rays of light filtering through the stained glass windows of the sanctuary, the first spring flowers blooming in the ancient courtyards, and above all, the radiant smile of a woman who had been able to draw strength from faith. Once, during one of her many visits, Marta was invited to participate in a special ceremony dedicated to the miracles that had occurred in the sanctuary. The event, organized with great care and devotion, saw the participation of dozens of people, each with their own story to tell. Sitting among the crowd, Marta listened enraptured to the testimonies of those who had lived similar experiences. Each story contributed to creating a mosaic of emotions, a set of lights and shadows that together formed the complex and wonderful reality of faith. At that moment, Marta realized that the miracle was not only hers, but part of a larger plan, where each soul found its space to shine. Marta's journey was not without moments of doubt and reflection. On days when loneliness was felt, when the memory of past pain threatened to obscure the light of the present, she returned to that silent cell, seeking in it that echo of hope that had saved her life. Prayer, then, became not only an act of faith, but a true ritual of self-healing, an intimate dialogue with the infinite. Her words, whispered almost timidly, seemed to merge with the air, taking with them every residue of sadness and loneliness. As the months passed, Marta's story spread beyond the walls of the sanctuary. People began to talk about the woman who had experienced the miracle, and the story became a modern legend, a hymn to human resilience. Local news reports, although often skeptical, reported testimonies that confirmed the authenticity of that experience. Some doctors, while unable to scientifically explain what had happened, admitted that Marta's healing had called into question traditional medical conventions. Others, however, simply observed with respect the power of faith, recognizing that there are dimensions of reality that escape logic. The effect of this miracle was also felt in the local community. Many residents of San Giovanni Rotondo and the surrounding areas began to revisit the sanctuary, bringing with them stories of small, but precious, transformations. Many found in that place a refuge, an oasis of peace far from the frenzy of the modern world. Marta's voice, her determination and her ability to transform pain into hope, became a beacon for those who were looking for a sign, a message that confirmed that, even in the most difficult moments, the light of faith never goes out. Marta herself, now aware of having a mission to accomplish, decided to dedicate herself to supporting other people in difficulty. She organized informal meetings, prayer evenings, and moments of sharing where anyone could tell their story and find, even if only for a moment, that feeling of rebirth. Her energy, genuine and sincere, infected everyone. There was no difficult word or silence too heavy that could stop the flow of hope that she released. In one of these meetings, while twilight painted the sky above the sanctuary orange, Marta told how, in that moment of pure enchantment, she had felt not only physical warmth, but also a charge of energy that had made her understand that life was a gift to be cherished and loved. She told how, walking along the paths of the sanctuary, every stone, every flower seemed to carry with it a 1,000-year-old story, a secret whispered by time. In that sincere dialogue with destiny, the woman found the strength to move forward, not to deny the pain of the past, but to transform it into a lesson in resilience and love. And so, as the seasons changed and time passed inexorably, Marta continued to walk with her head held high, certain that that miracle had been only the beginning of a long journey of light. Each visit to the sanctuary was an opportunity to find herself, to nourish that part of her soul that had learned to believe, despite everything, in the mysterious power of divine love. Her story, steeped in faith and courage, remained a powerful reminder that, even when darkness seems to invade everything, a small ray of light is enough to change destiny. In the end, Marta's testimony was not just a miraculous tale, it was a celebration of life, a testimony that hope can flourish even in the most unexpected places, and that faith, with its silent strength, can transform pain into a message of rebirth. Anyone who approached that story could not help but feel part of a larger plan, where every suffering is transformed into a seed of light destined to sprout. This long journey, made of encounters, reflections and new discoveries, made Marta a point of reference not only for those seeking physical healing, but for those who wanted to rediscover faith in a better future. Her life, now filled with hope and determination, was living proof that, despite adversity, every soul has the power to be reborn, to rewrite its own destiny with the pen of faith and love. And so, as the sun set behind the hills, leaving behind a golden halo, Marta smiled, knowing that Padre Pio's miracle had not been a simple isolated event, but the first chapter of a story that continued to be written every day, in an eternal embrace between the divine and the human.